So, hey, Mooney for win, back with more replay analysis now that the first round of the 8-bit ladder wars has concluded. This is the last round. Netput, the boy who set up this whole thing, I have no idea what his title is, but does something for game replays, is some sort of high up there or whatever. As the green, good color choice, my boy. Marines, good race choice, my boy. Versus ProvenSupreme, who is playing these light blue Guardians up here. So the Guardian versus Marine matchup is not one that I have explored super heavily, because just not that many people play Guardians, honestly. But I've talked about it quite a lot with multiple people, mainly Dissonant, who is one of the few people I know who really mains Guardians. This is something that was actually mentioned. I think Just Plain Savage mentioned this. ProvenSupreme actually goes in this game, and I guess just in... He said on some maps in this matchup, his second refinery before the factory. Now, ProvenSupreme didn't like this. Or not ProvenSupreme. Of course, ProvenSupreme's one doing it. Just Plain Savage didn't like this. He said, you don't have enough to defend against ogres if you do this. But I like the idea of it. I think you entirely can do this. And hopefully these games will be good examples. I mean, this is a map with a large rush distance. You'd have to actually do the testing of this to make sure. But the sort of excuse that Proven gave for this is that if you make this before your second refinery, you can't make rocket cars and infantry. You can only make rocket cars while your second refinery is going up, and while you're then starting to expand. Whereas the idea for this build is that if you do this with a bit better control, you can actually be constantly making infantry while you're getting your economy up, and then start making these. So at this point, he has got his 4 rocket cars later, but he has more infantry, which he believes is enough to hold off ogres. And I would probably agree with him. Netput doing an entirely standard build. Netput was one of the first people I started talking to about how to play Marines in this game, and learning from, and this is the build that since the money changes he has been doing. Factory down immediately, but halting his production of ogres until he gets this. This is also a reason that this sort of infantry heavy play is good versus Netput, because I play this game a bit more than Netput nowadays, right? People on the ladder who play against Marines are probably more used to playing against me or someone like Dastulian or something, and we play a lot more aggressive than Netput. At this point here, this is a bit later than I tested, but he only has 5 of these, and a lot before this I would normally have 6 with my sort of standard more aggressive build. Now this is what happens a lot in this matchup. You saw the first 4 rocket cars over here harassing this point. He now has some rocket cars here, some rocket cars here, and so even though a lot of people say, oh, but you got to be scared of this big ogre attack, these ogres are pushed out and he's lost a harvester, right? Unfortunately, yeah, these are actually going to get over the edge there and hit that harvester. Netput is concentrating on his first army, so he's not there to move this on. ProvenSupreme is checking there. He can't find any more harvesters around the map, and so he's going to come back in and try and hit these from behind. So leaving the Scorch tanks there to hold back the ogres and moving his infantry up the cliff. Ooh, a little bit of crush there. I'd like to see more splitting from the man Proven. Ooh, that was a bit bad, that little shuffle. But you can see that he's been able to deal with these decently with these grenade infantry. Ooh, no. Oh, I spoke too soon. I spoke too soon. Well, what's he going to lose? He's going to lose this refinery. That is pretty upsetting. Does he have another refinery up? He does have another refinery up, so it's not actually that bad. He's now going to push these guys back. As long as he can stabilize, he's not too bad, because he put Netput down. He only put Netput down onto 4 harvesters, or actually he killed that harvester, didn't he? So he did put him down onto 3 harvesters for a bit. And this is the point of the way this matchup is played. As Proven Supreme, you want to avoid these big fights as much as possible and just take out these harvesters all over. Unfortunately, he never spotted this harvester. If he'd spotted this harvester and managed to put Netput down onto 2 harvesters, this would have been like really bad news for Netput. But he's now chasing off this first army, but here's the second army come in. He needs to have his Scorch tanks focusing these Marines now, but he only has 1 left. This is looking really bad for Proven Supreme now. But this is the way that this matchup goes normally. I think the focus on these is actually... I think it might be a bit wrong. I haven't tested this enough. I haven't played against enough good Guardians players to know, but I think focusing more on just getting a good amount of artillery out is the way to go. These Marines are actually on the wrong side of this fight here. You want the Marines to be in front of... You want the Marines to be between the rocket cars and the ogres. Because rocket cars, even though they're so squishy that ogres will kill them in a few hits, they do a lot of good damage to ogres themselves. So you want them to be hitting these Marines because they do very low damage against these Marines. And unfortunately these rocket cars are not getting microed and getting caught here. And I think this will be the downfall of Proven more than anything else. Because he's going to be able to hold these attacks off, but not super heavily. And he's now going to be falling behind with economy because he's allowed Netput to keep going out here. Hopefully these can do some damage. Right now, this is what he needs. He needs rocket cars to do some damage. He might send his heavy drones out to try and do some damage, but this is what I mean with the problem with heavy drones, is that Netput has just gone into making strikes. And since he's seen heavy drones and no other sort of high-tech units, he feels safe to go into 2 drone bays and pump out a lot of strikes, and this is going to be really dangerous. Also, an advantage that Marines have in this matchup is because ogres are essentially do good damage versus everything, that especially in a matchup where the enemy's air is slow and going to be in smaller numbers than something like rocket chopters, lol, he can actually... Good focus there from him, but the Marines are going to start getting some hits in. He's going to lose a lot here. Shrikes can deal with these on his own. Shrikes cannot deal with some other things without doing too much damage to your army. But ogres are going to be really good because Guardians do not have a great way of dealing with ogres. Normally you'd want to go up to Manticores to deal with some more heavy mech armies, but... Ooh, these drones... I don't know actually what damage heavy drones do. They might be alright, but this is quite a few Marines. Oh, he's made some light drones. I don't know why that is, if that's a money thing or if he just thinks that light drones are better at dealing with shrikes, but he's already killed all the shrikes pretty much. Oh, there we go, there's more, but still light drones aren't gonna get that many good hits on shrikes, I don't think. Although the bad thing about shrikes is that they won't hit their good AoE, but the good thing is that at least them being big means that you won't overhit too many on shrikes that often. But now he has less of these big drones, and yep, he's going down. So that was a sort of unfortunate game for him. He didn't see this harvester, and he didn't manage to hold Netput back on enough harvesters, and he had some not perfect micro with those grenadiers. But I think this sort of shows, at least against some players in some matchups, that this sort of style can work out with the less heavy defense. And I'm looking forward to see if this matchup keeps going the same way and if we can see some slight variations in this.